$15,995. It is day something of the journey to $100 million. I've been very inconsistent with posting. I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to have a quick chat about positive feedback loops. So one of the things that I've been doing recently is reinvesting 10% of the income that I earn straight back into buying tools and such to make me a more valuable employee for the companies I'm currently working for. And then if I decide to go off and create my own company, I'll already have most of the tools that I'll need. Like, I won't be spending money on the outset. I will have already made that money back from the employment. And then when I start a company, if I start a company, it'll all be there, ready, paid for, verified that it works, I'm comfortable with it, and all things good. So that's just one example of a positive feedback loop, right? So I do work, get paid, buy gear, which gets me more work and more pay, which means I can buy more gear, positive feedback loop, and then eventually, instead of doing work, it'll be working in my own business, getting paid even more, buying even more tools, getting paid even more on the business, yada, yada, yada. Positive feedback loop. Nice. The thing about the feedback loops is you can start them anywhere. So you could start that positive feedback loop from getting paid, kind of hard, unless you get paid before you do the work, which most employees don't, but possible. You can start the feedback loop from getting paid. You can start the feedback loop from buying the gear, which is reasonable and legit. Or you can start it from doing the work. So, obviously, because at the start of this channel, I was like negative a couple grand in net worth. So I started with doing the work, getting paid. And then once I'd gotten paid, my net worth is positive. I'm like, cool, I've got a little bit of room to maneuver. I can afford to buy myself some stuff. Now, some other positive feedback loops you can think of. You feel motivated to, say, record a video like this, and then you take action, you get a positive outcome, and then because you've got a positive outcome, you feel motivated again. So you can start that loop anywhere that you want. Obviously, if you feel motivated, that's a great start of the loop. You can start it from action, which is what I'm doing now. I feel wildly unmotivated, but we're doing it anyway. And then because you do the action, you get the outcome, which gives you the motivation to do the action again. Nice, positive feedback loop. Or you can start it from the outcome, which is probably not real because you can't get views if you don't have videos, you know? And so what I determined in my own head is that at some point in every feedback loop, there is an action component, right? So if you do observe, orient, decide, act as your positive feedback loop, observation, great starting point. You're looking at the situation, which is also an action, putting that out there. You're orienting, like you're getting all of the information that you need, you're deciding what to do, and then you take action. But again, because it's a positive feedback loop, you can start wherever you want. And if you start with action, then you can observe the results of that action, you can reorient, you can decide what the next action you're going to take is, and then take action. Other common ones might be, I'm going to stop that sentence there because I'm going to make a post on X about it once I think of a couple more good ones. But everything starts with action, and then you learn from that action. Yeah, so you act, observe, reflect, learn, take new action. And so what I'm trying to think of in terms of the positive feedback loops is where I can start taking extra action to kick off more of those positive feedback loops, right? Obviously, if you take a bad action, you'll get the positive feedback loop of learning from your mistakes, but you'll also get a negative feedback loop of you took a bad action and now you're falling into bad habits. So, task for today, me and you, is we're going to figure out some places where we can take action to get into some positive feedback loops for making money. So, One start point for me might be I'm aware of a couple of other companies that I haven't applied for recently. Like I've sent them a resume and I'm happy to contract, didn't hear anything back, and I haven't recently just refreshed their memory of like, hey, I'm still alive. If you need anyone, let me know. So I'm going to do that today. That's going to be my action that kicks off our positive financial feedback loop. Another action I'm going to take is I'm just going to make a logo and register a business name for a business that I'm planning on starting next year, because I'm just going to get ahead, and by having the business name and the logo, then I can make a Google Maps profile. Because I have a Google Maps profile, I might get my first sale at the end of this year. By the end of this year, I'll already kicked off money, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. So, action step, figure out your action steps to take. Take care. I will see you on the next one.